So we was waiting for this one with a brand new start to 2026 in ARK. That roadmap that got revealed at the investors conference at the start of December. Well, we've got a public viewing version of this now with a lot of juicy details to tuck into. So let's begin. First up, to join ARK in Q1 of this year is the return of Survival of the Fittest. It's amazing to see they're going to have another third stab at this, being offered as a free mod for ASA instead of some new game to download like the original SOTIF was. I was kind of curious what was going to happen there, seeing that this one is being made by Studio Sirens, who made Aquatica for ASE, and I do like to think that maybe some recognition was seen by the team who really had a tight turnaround for that DLC by Snail, but this time working under the help of Wildcards to bring this once one of the most competitive battle royale games to date to return again, refreshed and improved with better mechanics, competitive matchmaking systems. We really have needed that for every SOTIF iteration we've seen since, and meta game reward loops. It's great to hear that one. A reason for you to win games, something to showcase for you to share with your friends and say, look, this is what I did, this is how good at SOTIF I was. Will I still be? Was I ever? It truly is a big one to see how SOTIF performs this time around. It once was a big reason, a part of ARK, back when it originally launched, introducing esports entertainment that Wildcard did originally mention regarding this in its investors meeting, but the word esports is missing from this announcement either way. Very excited to see what they'll do with this one, but being a mod, will we be seeing an adoption level something close to, well, Club ARK, and hopefully that's not the case. Followed by, in Q2 of this year, accompanying Genesis Part 1 will be the next Bob's True Tales expansion pass. This one called Tides of Fortune, and I'm wondering if it's going to be tied into the next Bob's True Tales, if you get to pre-order both packs, or you get to pre-order just one by one when that originally comes out and get the next one later on, or are you going to be getting like an expansion pass for the two like they've done previously with the other Bob's Tall Tales? But this one's promising something truly special, that in continuing the journey of Bob and Mika after the events of Lost Colony as they seek out the Ever Cave where ancient secrets have been buried, alluding to what we can only think are cutscenes set on the planet of a rat. The content that comes with this are customizable pirate ships, randomized semi-procedural island and fortresses, and big naval battles across the high seas on, and I'm very excited about this one, real water physics. Oh wow, because Unreal 5 has the technology there. It has had that for a long time. In fact, Wildcard use a restricted version of this plugin that I'm guessing they're going to basically unlock all of the features. I think it was restricted because of performance issues back when it was originally launched with ASA, and obviously a lot of people know that Atlas had all those cool water physics, and well, let's be honest, what's seeming to be promised with this does appear to be somewhat a version of Atlas that players have kind of wanted in ARK for a long time, in what's going to be a map-wide ocean biome that somehow separates those individual biomes you've known from the original Genesis Part 1. I'm very excited to see exactly how this is going to work, how open world it's going to be versus the restricted teleportation system they had with the original DLC. And randomized semi-procedural island and fortresses, what the hell, man? That's crazy. It looks like they're expanding upon the outpost system that they've introduced with Genesis 1, and instead we're going to get island and fortresses to raid and defend instead. Looking forward to seeing exactly how that's all going to plan out, and Q2 apparently Gen 1 is only around the corner. Followed by still quite a baffling new DLC, ASA World Creator, that gives anybody that hasn't got the space or the time to learn the dev kit to make maps of their own. Quoted as basic editing of existing maps or even creating whole new ones on any platform, and this is a pleasure to read. Players will be able to share them with other players via the mod browser. Really cool to see that one, that it's all going to be integrated within the modding system. And as expected, whilst you won't be able to generate new art assets in World Creator, but interestingly you will be able to place and modify actors, edit their properties, edit overall world settings, add and configure volume and spawners, apply mod and skin packs, and add simple functional text scripting. So instantly to mind, I'm thinking like if I wanted a map where all the world bosses all roamed at will, you could do just that in your own version of your own map. And in fact, having them as modded versions of those bosses to create your own unique style of play. Introduced as the easiest and fastest way for novice and beginning creators to build a custom environment for their server or friends, or for builders to assemble their ultimate visual showcase that other players can download and play in. I am totally getting on board with this one. It sounds like it's going to be paid DLC, and the fact that they demonstrated this during the business investors, I'm going to assume that it's going to be, though. It's interesting that the Survival of the Fittest mod by Studio Sirens is a free one, and that was demonstrated at the investors meeting. Maybe it's certainly still all driving traffic to ARK, so, you know, it's still worth an investment. But for anyone still a bit bamboozled, I guess a great comparison is, well, Forge mode in Halo, right? That's kind of the same sort of deal of what you're getting here. In fact, it's more than that. And then the very mysterious Dragontopia that we was possibly guessing could be some sort of collab with another IP, as Jeremy had mentioned previously. Well, it turns out that may not be the case, or may still be, that it's going to be a mythical world of fire, stone and sky in a non-canon expansion pack that will revolutionize how taming and creature interactions can work with ARK. The last DLC to arrive at the end of the year, this is going to be Wildcard's very first non-canon map that they're developing from the ground up to basically do anything and everything that they couldn't really do because of story and lore constraints. Of course, the words revolutionize how taming and creature interactions definitely raises an eyebrow. That are we going to be seeing a more bonded experience, because, you know, how to train your dragon, and already the mods that kind of have this one-to-one relationship with your dragons, I can get a feeling we're going to be going down that road, creating even more attachment with your creatures, so you really don't want them to die. And in a world full of dragons, I mean, there are already quite a few different Draconis variants. Are there going to be many more coming along with this map, and will it all be cross-transfer with the other maps already available? Which then throws us into 27 with, yes, Atlantis, and I love the wording that Wildcard had picked here. From the dynamic rolling seas to the depths of the vast sunken city itself, the non-canon map of Atlantis will build on the mechanics of Tides of Fortune, which is going to be that brand new water physics that we're going to be seeing with Genesis Part 1, and presented as Studio Wildcard's ultimate vision for water-oriented ARK gameplay and world design, not Snail Games' ultimate vision. I see what you did there, Wildcard. Wink, wink. However, you might have caught GP's video earlier in the week discussing that it was mentioned in a PC Games N article that Jeremy did say that Nakatas will be the helm of bringing this map to life. And to be fair, what better hands for it to be in than the man himself? That's, of course, the dude who brought you Fjorda, Valguero, and now Astraeus. And Nakatas did actually offer a comment surrounding this to clear up that Wildcard, yes, approached him and asked him if he's interested, and he is, but nothing is set in stone about this, with his focus still being on Astraeus, and apparently the next giant map expansion pass is seemingly around the corner. Nakatas just dropped another teaser for that to let us know a new mini-boss will be coming. With this giant desert biome update that's going to be in the south, we're going to be finding a new terminal, just like those crazy, wacky pig bosses you're fighting in the north. You're going to find what might be some sort of Minotaur or Senator boss, if we're looking at that statue there in the background when we get our hands on this map. And hello there, Mega Raptor. Does that confirm these are coming too? What we know is definitely coming to the next expansion of Astraeus is Oasis Souls, surprisingly. I mean, look, everyone uses these. Almost every base that I run into unofficial has at least one of these in preparation for those lost and dead dinos. So you might as well just have them wild spawning on your map, right? And with the giant, and I do mean giant, amount of space that's going to be available on this, it makes sense to see one or two of these flying around town there. This map is going to be massive by the time it's fully done. And then to polish off Bob's true tales, we're getting Galaxy Wars with Genesis Part 2, and that arrives in Q2 of 27. where Wildcard explained that some form of narrative, I guess we're going to get with Gen 1, will be revealed as Bob and Mika's journey reaches an end. I guess explaining how old legends never die. Could it be Rock? Well, it does seem to be hinting towards that if you've watched a bit of the lore for Lost Colony, right? But the content you're getting with this one, starfighters, bombers, capital ships, and colonizable planetoids, what the hell is that in what's going to be a map-sized outer space biome that fully encompasses the Genesis 2 ship that you've known from that original ASA DLC. I can't even imagine how wild this one is going to go. And again though, it does feel like a further advancement of the NPC stuff that we've now seen with the Lost Colony, with, I guess, ship versions of outposts, right? Is that kind of where we're going with this one? And seriously, are we going to find full-blown planets we can colonize on Gen 2? I don't believe it. No way. It's got my hype meter way too high. I think I need to ground those expectations on what that truly means. Maybe a base of form of where you can kind of like keep your NPCs or your tribe, or like a temporary place you can set up. There's no way there's going to be like mini planets to go to and colonize. Nah. There's too much. I am fascinated how far Wildcard are really going to push this one, and yeah, man, can't wait, dude. That's really exciting. And then now to clear up our theories surrounding this legacy of Santiago, which seemed to prelude Arc 2, with me wondering, is it going to be a DLC focus on his story prior to the planet of Arat, where Arc 2 will be set? It doesn't seem to be the case. It seems to be you will be on that planet. As they explain, everything leads to this. After an unyielding power is unleashed across Arat, heroes old and new join the veteran survivors on a quest unlike anything seen before. Completely redesigned gameplay mechanics and features, coupled with a totally new way to enjoy living on this new world of Ark in this standalone expansion series comprising the future of Ark. I'm still filled with so many questions on how this is being delivered and what does it offer in comparison to what Arc 2 is meant to be. Is it going to be some bite-sized version of that? But if it's set on the planet of that, do you get like a continent or a country or just a space of it to explore? I get the idea that maybe we're going down the road of actually a full-blown sizable planet to explore when we actually get Arc 2. Are we going down the kind of a gridded system of Atlas like those servers used to work there? I know they were a bit hit and miss there, but they've possibly advanced on those mechanics there. Are we going down the road of maybe like Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, you know, a bite-sized version of that giant explorable space when we got the Phantom Pain later on, but introducing all of the new mechanics? I think that's a great example maybe of what they're going, where they're going with this new DLC that seems to be a part of ASA. That's what's really interesting, that I would imagine that Arc 2 is going to be its own standalone game on some sort of flagship redeveloped new version of the engine, but then this needs to somehow prelude that and introduce us to all of those crazy wacky mechanics that once upon a time we were all very, whoa mate, what's going on there? Why are you completely changing what Arc's all about? But since then have slowly drip fed us a lot of the mechanics they were promising with that sequel. I mean, if you had done the boss on Lost Colony, you know what's going on there. A lot of promise, a lot of wonder, and of course a lot of you out there going, well, where the hell are the other maps? Where's Fjorda, Lost Island, Crystal Isles, which I was kind of half expecting to see within a public viewing version of this, seeing that it's going to be 3 versions of those legacy maps, and Wildcard do explain to expect these upgraded legacy maps over these 2 years as well. So we are going to see them apparently within the next 2 years. There's no date assigned to those 3 maps, but we can expect to see them at some point then. Alongside all of the TLCs that you donated for during Extra Life last year, holiday events, more QOL improvements, and other surprises for the game they know and love. With yet another surprise, hello Unreal Engine 5.7 upgrade performance update. Surprisingly coming around a lot faster than I expected, because if you recall, that 5.5 took a long time to reach us, and I do wonder if this currently targeted April release date will indeed be met. But it's coming, and when it does, players can expect a 30 to 40% performance gain across both CPU and GPU, on top of the original 40 to 50% improvement on the original 5.5 upgrade. But what's really cool about this upgrade is that 5.7, building on new nanite-based foliage rendering, which, you know, foliage is a heavy thing in ARK, will apparently be much more stabilized in this engine, improving performance in large vegetation-heavy environments, where Wildcard themselves internally are seeing apparently meaningful gains on existing maps. And with apparently players feeling like they're going to be seeing a dramatic improvement once it arrives, it seemingly is going to open the potential for a certain portable console port of the cross-platform game. Hello there, Nintendo Switch 2? So a lot going on in the road ahead for the next 2 years, but flipping heck, Lost Colony only came out like a few weeks ago. We're all still trying to figure out what the heck this map is all about and still trying to learn a lot about it, and some things we've been learning about it are definitely not working as possibly intended, and Wildcard are recognising this and said, well, these things need to be fixed, and they're going to be in a first major update that reads like should be rolling out this weekend, though I get a feeling we're not going to see this until the start of the week. Resource cache loot boxes will actually be worth doing now, because if you've done one, and we've done a few videos on them, they certainly aren't right now. You're gonna apparently now find a complete removal of those neophytes, thank God. A reduced wave count from 5 to 3, increased XP awarded from spawned enemies by 5x, a 20% health restoration to the resource cache after completing each wave, and increasing the chances of getting actual Arctic armor or fabricated weaponry. Good to hear that one. They really do need to make these more worthwhile right now. I gotta say, man, they truly aren't. The resources alone just aren't making them worthwhile, but good to hear they might now be, and you know we'll be jumping on that one when we see this patch drop. The Ascended is finally getting an improvement in its taming process, and by God, it needs it. If you go and attempt to tame one in the north, you will know you've got absolutely no chance of taming one. There really is not a possibility with all of the stuff that aggroes on these things, but not anymore. Apparently, every time you dismount the Ascended during its taming process, it now heals back up to 100%. So that's going to at least give you a bit of buffer attempting to tame these. I just still think you're going to need a snow owl, though. There's some rough things up there in the north. And unofficial players, rejoice if you're using high-level Ascendeds beyond 150 plus. You can now tame these efficiently with now number of icicles and dinos scaling with taming speed multiplier configs. Finally, we might actually use fabricated crossbows, because if you've tried them, the durability on them completely sucks. They damage break in like 2 shots. Okay, it's not 2 shots, but you know what I mean. They're just not quite worth it because of how quickly they break. But now, no longer the case. You're going to find a 30% improvement on that durability, as well as a 33% improvement on its sniper mode. So we'll definitely be checking those out and hopefully be actually using them now in Lost Colony. And the Hollow Decoy, which seems like a bit of a novelty feature right now, because I guess the expense of it, and Wildcard have heard that they're going to reduce that cost. So gunpowder is now completely removed from the Hollow Decoy crafting requirements, and the entire requirement is going to be reduced by approximately 30%. So maybe you'll be starting to use these actually to give you a bit of time to run away before something chops your face off. With an absolute bucket load of bug fixes upcoming as well. Terminal access being an absolute must. Good to see they're fixing that one. Beaver dams are coming to the map, so you no longer have to do all those laborious Megatherium runs for that chitin to make your paste anymore, or tame like an army of snails. Those crazy whistling siren sounds that you might have heard when going over some mountains apparently are going to be nerfed. Those spawn points especially needed to be fixed, so good to see that. And what the hell, attempting to ascend with a thrall? Are you telling me my thralls can get ascension levels? I didn't know this. I need to look into this one. A lot is going on in the world of ARK when it comes to content right now. Good grief, if you consider the amount of content that has been dropped since ASA's launch versus the content that dropped for ASC during its entire lifespan, it's a wonder how on earth Wildcard are sleeping. I know I'm not, trying to cover everything, and there's still plenty more to cover when it comes to Lost Colony and hopefully now Sotif around the corner too. A lot to be excited about. Are you excited? I'd love to hear. Comment below. Which one of these DLCs are you looking forward to more? I really do. want to hear what you want to say. Comment below and all that jazz. Until the next one, my name's Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, peace out.